And let's see, we should be off to the races.
Oh boy.
And I'm not sure.
We're not sure.
Here we go. Okay, let's see if they get us up quick and hooked up. And let's move this a little closer.
Okay.
Okay.
Let's see.
Welcome, 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 guys. Hello, hello, hello.
I don't see us up yet. Oh, there we are. Okay, let me see on this computer.
There we go.
Oh, Xenomorphet.
Xenogen.
Xenogen.
Jen's in the house.
Oops. Uh-oh.
And welcome one, welcome all. There we go. I love the photos, the picture, the tab, Starseed Awakening. Yeah, absolutely. And, you know, we'll probably have somebody come by and say, oh, you guys, you're a bunch of New Agers. Yeah. Well, yeah, you want to live in the Kali Yuga all your life? Hell no.
I know.
Who wants to be a slave in the Kali Yuga? You have to have your head examined.
Sita says no.
Sita agrees.
Not me. She's working through stuff too. She's always working on her be nice to people classes. Yep. That's my girl. She will not give up. She's very dedicated. Oh, there's our special K. Now, I want to ask you guys to send out prayers to KK. She is the strongest woman I know. And there she is. Thank you, KK. She's healing from something pretty major.
Oh my gosh, yes.
Major.
This woman has been in so much pain for so long. And ultimately, you know, I knew what it was right off the bat. And, you know, Cindy knew and she knew, but the DRSs, you know, were refusing to acknowledge. And then they eventually, finally, after years of suffering, did what we all knew had to be done. And she's on the path to healing.
She's on the mend. So, but
yes.
She went through all of that, and it was so hard. And, you know, we're just so blessed to have her as a friend and an ally in this world.
Dana, welcome. Tom, welcome. K-Heads, Jennifer, C-Dub, Barbara, good to see you. Greetings to you, too. All the beautiful souls, Starseed Lightworkers, K-Wire5 as well. I hope I didn't miss anybody.
Yeah, and KK says we can tell her. She had an accident and broke her ankle, and I just don't want to tell the story wrong, so correct me if I make a mistake. But she had metal put in her ankle on the break to heal it, and it didn't fully heal, and there was wounds on the ankle, and they wouldn't quite heal, and pretty soon, after so many years, you could see the metal coming through. So the only option was to take out the metal, and oh my gosh, how scary is that? Because she was looking at losing her leg, you know.
Yeah,
what are you going to do?
That's the thing. A lot of people, if you weren't allergic to the technology, you may become allergic to the technology.
Yeah, because she's awake.
Yeah, because of the awakening. Yeah, the Starseeds, the Lightworkers, and the rest. You know, the changes that are underway on the planet are immense. And, you know, you really, this is a once in thousands of years point in time, thousands and thousands. So, you know, we're at a momentous time, and can't underestimate or understate just how momentous it really is. This is part of the realization that a lot of people have this sense that something big is going on. Something big is happening. Yeah, it's way more enormous than most people understand.
I mean, to me, you know, something major happening on the planet, like the Earth changes, those are obvious, but we're here to talk about the subtleties, the things that aren't so obvious, the things that are very difficult to go through. And KK, in this time of her life, she was definitely in a lot of pain, but she was also grounded. She couldn't go anywhere. She couldn't get in her car. She couldn't go do her own grocery shopping. She had to sit, and we always look at the silver lining, right? When we're going through traumas, it's like, okay, why is this happening to me? Why do I have to go through this? And I've struggled with this with Source. It's like, this thing is excruciating. This doesn't feel like love. This doesn't feel like expansion. This doesn't feel like all the things that, you know, the light workers, starseeds came to do. Is painful. very painful. But through that pain, we look to see what comes to the surface, what comes to the top. And it's the most beautiful thing. Enlightenment is a gift, and it does not come easy. We have to make space for it in some way, shape, or form. We have to give something to get something. And on those higher realms, when we speak to higher self, we make these commitments, because when we get here, it's like, do I really want to do this? And, you know, a lot of it's so painful, you might just, if you knew what it was, you might just walk away. But we are kind of scooted along through higher self and through love of those people that care about us. You know, that's the other thing. You have to have somebody that has your back, somebody that truly has your back, a partner, a friend, a something. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And we have to work through things. You have to work through. You cannot escape, and that's the thing that, you know, I think is important to understand. Is people sometimes think, oh man, you know, I don't like this world. I just want to escape this world, and you know, I don't want to work on certain things about myself, etc., etc. You can't escape those things. You're going to work on them this life, the afterlife, or the next life, or the life after that, or the one after that. This is, you know, this is the way the universe works. Again, we are eternal beings by nature. We're consciousness, and so a lot of people can conceptualize the aura, the different layers of the energy body, and understand that, you know, as we let go of this body at some point in time, that's going to break down. It goes back to the earth, like Cindy was getting from the guides again, saying that we borrow this physical substance from the earth, and then we return it to the earth. And it's that way in the Taoist tradition as well. Again, I think if people are tired of looking at the world through an Abrahamic lens, explore Taoism and also explore the Sanatana Dharma, and you'll find a lot more truth and wisdom there, and a lot more clarity, because it doesn't have the same sort of objectives in mind that, you know, that control system narrative that we're all slaves and you can't escape things and you need somebody to come and save you so you don't have to do your own work. Nothing could be further from the truth than that. You know, there is this thing called karma, which karma is the currency of this manifest universe. You cannot really escape it. So what do? Well, we just simply work on being, you know, the most honest, best version of ourselves all the time. And that's what we do. We keep moving forward. We keep when we are hit with bumps in the road, you just take it from a point of being as understanding, as empathetic, as full of compassion as you can. And we have some big bumps in the road that are obviously right ahead of us, all around us. You know, when you look to the news, and, you know, like yesterday with Russia and Ukraine, for instance, it keeps escalating again, and it looks like that could actually, you know, explode again. June may very well be the year that things go, you know, kind of out of control in the geopolitical sense. Also, you know, very, very bumpy economic road. Or if the control system, you know, again, is put on their heels, they may end up backing off and trying to recoup and trying to trap our consciousness in a different way, because really the battle here is about ascension, and they just want to try to keep as many people in the pen as possible. But the get out of jail free card has been given to anybody that wants to acknowledge and realize the situation on planet Earth has been one just simply of control. And when you look at the Kali Yuga, it's a dark age because of the absence of light, which again is knowledge and understanding. So we really haven't, the masses haven't had a clear picture of what's happening on the planet their entire lives.
Mm-hmm. You know, and here we are, we're kind of caught in the middle between certain forces, but we can also look at it as we're being given the opportunity for certain growth. And I think it's about finding that authentic part of yourself after the shadows have been put into place from childhood. We start working from about some, about 5 years old on, and most of that is the shadow part of ourselves, the part of ourselves that has had to make those adjustments to simply survive. So we learn really quickly. It's like, okay, well, what do mom and dad need us to do so that I make sure I get to eat and I have attention and I'm comforted? So that's where we learn to manipulate ourselves from a very young age. So you can imagine when you realize this and you realize how hard it is to find the authentic part of yourself, that's tough. You really have to dig deep. But then at the same time, when you do find that authentic part of yourself and you have peeled away the shadows, you can see it as a blessing. It's like, wow, look how far I have come. And then you find yourself free. I cannot overstate enough how important it is to have someone who loves you and who has your best intentions in their heart. It's like they really truly want you to grow. They want the best for you. And because this is probably the most vulnerable part of your life, and I know a lot of people are going through it, and when you're vulnerable and you're raw, you need someone to sit with you for a minute and say, hey, you're okay. No matter where you're at, you are okay, and you are loved, and you are appreciated, and look how far you've come. It's like we all need a cheerleader in our corner. Somebody, it doesn't have to necessarily be, a partner. It could be a friend, it could be a cousin, it could be a sister, but somebody that you can trust, that you can go to with your deepest, darkest, yuckiest secrets and say, hey, this is what's going on. I need to know where I'm at. So, that's what I have to say about that. It's just not easy, you guys. We're not in an easy space.
No, absolutely not. And if you're watching this, you've probably known your whole life that the system was an illusion, at least to a degree. Again, there is really a difference between those, even though those that we call Starseed Lightworkers, even though ultimately, again, all of us have origins that are outside of this planet, outside of this biosphere, as there's many different humanoid species out there, and again, there is this intergalactic, interdimensional war that's been going on for we don't know how long, millions of years, perhaps is longer than that. It didn't necessarily originate here, but it certainly has affected Earth and everybody on Earth. There are souls incarnating here that have had lives on other planetary systems. And so we've gotten from the guides in the past that it may be about somewhere around 25 to a third, quarter to a third of the souls that have incarnated here have had experiences incarnating on other planets, other star systems. And so because of that, even though we go through the veil of illusion when we take on the physical body, there's still like a knowing. There's a gnosis in you. Now, 2/3 to 3/4 of humans that are incarnated right now, again, those are estimates given to us from the guides. They haven't experienced anything else, so they don't really know. They don't really know. And many of the incarnating souls have only experienced really life in the Kali Yuga. So to them, this system is just normal and natural, where to us, we know how abnormal this system is, how it just doesn't feel right. And it's never felt right. So as hard as the system will try to sell us on it, we just know, that there's something wrong. It's a Ponzi scheme, it's a shell game, it's not what they tell us. And yet, for those that are, this is all they've known, and they're awakening to the fact that, wait a minute, they've been lying to us. And even coming to the point where they're starting to realize it's all been lies. For them, reality is just on real shaky ground right now.
I think there's a couple layers of so-called reality going on, and there's a lot of us in these different layers. Some people are ready to see their truth, and some people are not able to. So they're still very stuck in the 3D. And I think the controllers do not like those people that can see through the illusion, because we tend to help the masses also see through the illusion. They generally rely on the masses to voluntarily remain blinded, and that's how they function. And by us coming in here and supporting each other and helping each other, this is how we help those who truly want to make their own decisions with their own bodies. This is how we keep that alive. Imagine if we weren't able to come on here and talk with you guys, and we couldn't meet in the chat rooms. That would be problematic. That would just be the control system winning out, hands down, no problem, because everyone would feel so alone. When we do work with people, the number one thing is I'm alone. I feel alone, and my family doesn't understand. But you're not alone. You are a seed of light. You're a very important seed of light, and sometimes these lights come together and they make a brighter light for others to see. But we are examples, and we have to be true to ourselves. And the other thing that I kind of wanted to mention that's really difficult is finding our truth is a really, really difficult thing. So in life, if we keep doing what we're doing, you're going to keep getting what you've got. So if you're not happy in the situation that you're in, there's probably patterns in your field that just keep you doing that. But if you feel something very uncomfortable right now, you're trying to break that pattern. The big me is trying to help pull little me up and out of those patterns that we had to create early on to survive. And give yourself a pat on the back if you're walking through this stuff and you're being honest and authentic, and if you're facing some of the ugliest, most horrible things about yourself, then go you. This is not easy. This is something a lot of people would just as soon, especially if you're sensitive with sensitive emotions. So many people would want to just turn from it and walk the other way, but you have to face it again. It's going to come back around again. That's what we are looking at. So that's why we come in here and we bring the support, and we tell people, hey, you're okay. You're a light worker. You're going through stuff, and it's not all light and roses and happiness and joy, even though that's how we choose to usually react to things, or respond to things, I should say. We don't always react that way with trauma. Sometimes things get to us, and yeah, you might need to yell, you might need to scream, you might need to cry, but all of this stuff is bubbling to the top, and it's painful, but it's going to show itself. So the sooner you're able to look at it and just say, okay, that's going to change, that's going to be different, that's not the part that I want to continue to relive, then it's like you like pop a bubble, or you break a spell. You take away all of the, it's almost like these traumas enjoy to hold the tension over your head, and then they feed off of it. The demons definitely feed off of these tensions. But once you talk about it honestly and you pop it, then it's like, it's gone. It's just gone. And you're lighter. You're literally lighter, because all those beings cannot feed on that anymore.
Yeah, absolutely. And again, that's where a lot of times, we certainly cannot be the best version of ourselves if we are addicted to things that are going to put us in an altered state of consciousness on a regular basis, which would open us up to these beings that always are manipulating, always trying to create strife, create tension, aggravation. When I remember a psychic looking at a battlefield, and what did he see? He literally saw demons everywhere, feeding. It's just a feeding frenzy, a buffet. And we understand why then the demonic system wants to create perpetual war, because it's a perpetual buffet. How do you stop feeding that energy? Well, remove yourself again from contributing to the buffet. That's probably the most effective way you can do it. So again, any behavior that's self-destructive, gaining control over it, letting go of the vices, whether it's cigarettes, alcohol, big FARMA, because those things are very, very door opening, and they always end up creating more and more conditions that you're going to have to overcome sooner or later. When we look at individuals that end up passing on in a traumatized way, whether it's battlefield or to, drug abuse or alcohol addiction, and they die under that sway, they are literally covered in this dark haze of energy. And the first thing they encounter is the very same parasites when they leave the body. Now that's sobering. So that should tell you again, you need to be sober. You need to be as sharp as you can, recognize your body as a temple for your soul. And even if that soul gets freed from that body, the energies you cultivate in life are the first energies you're going to encounter on the other side. And we do a life review. And we learn from that review and then move forward. Certainly, again, it's all about holding frequency. In the Sanatana Dharma, again, the traditional Hindu point of view, when people enter the later stage of life, the focus becomes very, very spiritual, and that becomes the priority. It's preparation for the ultimate separation from the body. And what we do by prioritizing the spiritual is we make the transition a lot easier. And also one in which, it's going to be less traumatic when we actually do leave the body. And, again, the only thing that could really separate us from the love is the negative emotions and traumas that this world is constantly trying to inflict upon us. And if you are a Starseed Lightworker, you definitely have a bullseye painted on you. So, you have to be as diligent or even more diligent than the average person.
I would say you're called to be more diligent, and you need to be more guarded, and that's why it's important to have people around you that you can completely trust to help steer you in the right direction, because sometimes you might not see certain things from your perspective, but someone else can see it from their perspective, and it kind of gives you that strength and that guidance that you need. But this world will throw all kinds of stuff in your path, and very difficult things to overcome. Really not easy things that challenge you and challenge your ability to stay true to yourself. And it's up to you to that's the fastest way through it, is to look something square in the eye and say, hey, you don't control me, and are you ready? Sometimes people might not be ready, honestly. They can't do it. There could be a trauma so deep there that they need a very gentle escort out of the situation, and that's where your trusted friends and loved ones and your partner come into play. And sometimes when we work on people, they don't have the most supportive partner, which is so important. I cannot talk about that enough. I mean, your partner, the one that is devoted to you and says that they love you, needs to be the one that sits down and says, I can see that you're in pain, and let me help you deal with this pain, and in an honest way, to the best of your ability. We are just all kind of going to school right now. I mean, think of kids walking home from school. We're all just a bunch of kids holding hands walking home from school, just bouncing stuff off of each other and kind of saying, I don't know, this worked for me. Did that work for you? This worked for you. Did that work for me? Hey, what's that teacher like? Hey, what's that grade like? I mean, we're just like these adult versions of these little kids, and we're just doing our best. And if we can keep that in our mind, but know that there's deceit out there too. I mean, it's not like we can assume everyone else is an angel, because they're not. I mean, there's some people out there with deep traumas that will create harm. So sometimes it is necessary to isolate yourself to a degree, or at least just put those people that you trust around you to help guide you out of whatever thing you're going through. Because this, it is a volcanic energy. Somebody mentioned Mount Etna. This is a volcanic energy. There's things coming up in me that I just cannot keep down anymore. And I'm so blessed to have a partner that can connect with me and say, hey, I see this hurts. Let's work through this together. No matter what, no matter what, we're going to walk through this together, because you don't deserve to live in pain. And you're a good person, and I see you're a good person, and I want to help you be the best version of you. So that's what partners can offer each other. But a lot of times the one partner just isn't quite there, which can cause damage. But that's where you look to your friends, your family. You find someone that you can lean on and trust, and that is going to do things in a non-judgmental way and just help you. That's, if you can find that, you found a diamond in the rough.
Well, yeah, and we could all use a few more diamonds, that's for sure. But again, it's the process. And I think about taking a piece of coal, and which is dark and absorbing, and then you turn it into a diamond, which can refract the light. Again, it's so much. It's the evolution of the soul in so many ways when you really look at it.
Mm-hmm. Talk about Ardras. Mike, he's under a lot of pressure sometimes, and it's very difficult. And I do my best as a partner to say, hey, let me release the pressure over here so you can deal with that over there. I don't do the things for him. Just like you cannot help a butterfly out of its cocoon because you'll kill it. You cannot generally help a baby chick out of an egg because you could kill it. It needs to have that struggle. That struggle is what brings it to life, so we have to keep that in mind when we're helping our friends and loved ones. It's like we can maybe help over here so they can deal with it over there, but they have to deal with it. And that I feel is where we are at. It's like we have to deal with our own stuff. And it's nice to have guidance and support. I mean, it's more than nice. It's something that is a blessing if you can have someone that can be true to you and do their best with your feelings and care about your heart. As we're in charge of another human being's heart, and we need to take that literally. We need to take that seriously. If you have someone's heart in your hands, oh my gosh, we've really done a lot to traumatize each other. And I think that also is due to this system that we live in. People traumatize each other, and now we're in a point where we're drawing the lines and we're saying, no, I can't do this anymore. And sometimes you have to let people go, those people that might be into traumatizing you. Sometimes we have to let it go so we can heal our heart, but then find someone who, when they hold your heart in their hands, you can trust them. That's so important. I've heard that women can help men with their heart. Women, you protect a man's heart, and a man protects a woman on the 3D. And that way, when we work together, we're able to co-create in a way that the controllers do not like. It's unimaginable. But it doesn't always have to be a partner. It can be a friend. It can be a friend that is helping you with your heart until that other person comes along.
Yeah, absolutely. So, again, that support group and the control system, by nature, one of their tactics that they use is to keep us from allowing ourselves to root and ground. Especially what you have going on with the Starseeds Lightworkers is a lot of times we're spread out all over the place. And, this is what Cindy and I find is we are isolated. We have basically one friend within 1,000 miles, so to speak, that we knew of that is in the area. But otherwise, we are very much off on our own mountain, so to speak. And yet that's good if you are a shaman, if you have that type of shamanic empathy and are able to work between the worlds, because that's what shamans do. They work between the worlds. I was looking at some of the comments in there. Like Jessica Ann says she lives out in the woods. Yeah, I mean, there's nothing that makes me feel more rooted, grounded, and peaceful than being out in nature where there's none of society touching us. There's no technology touching us. There's no buzz and hum. And I really do think that a lot of us, we really, more than ever, cannot tolerate the technology. And when we were talking about KK, she had to have it literally removed from her body because she wasn't healing. And so that's a lot of guts, because she could have lost her foot. You know, they were talking amputation. And that's terrifying. But yet now that it's out of her, she's able to heal, and she is going to heal, and she's going to be on the ascending path. She has been ascending. She's been getting more and more in contact with her higher self all the time. And we see that with so many of our regulars and family members that we have regular consultations with. You know, again, it's overcoming the traumas. And so, you know, we can all go off. We could all have things that come and waylay us, because the fact is, you're a target, especially as a Starseed Lightworker. You know, I'm not sure if anybody's said this, but it's true that literally the control system of this world knows who the Starseed Lightworkers are, and they watch you. They do. I mean, there's that paranoid conspiracy theorist thing of I am a targeted individual. Well, the reality is, yeah, everybody that could disrupt the system is a targeted individual. If you've had lives elsewhere, past lives in other star systems, other planets, yeah, obviously they're going to be concerned with you coming in and disrupting their apple cart, because this is their buffet. This is, you know, the system that they've put in place for themselves. We were talking yesterday about when, again, that group came in and literally took over the planet. You know, the alien invasion has happened. It happened thousands of years ago. We are taken over. This planet has been taken over. The entirety of the Kali Yuga was under their directive and control, even though they removed themselves from public view, and they were openly in public view before that, and they very well may come back to claim what's theirs, as they are looking to save a bunch, to utilize still as a resource, save a bunch of souls that are incarnated on the planet. Again, when the realization hits you of what's really being stated out there clearly, and yet people are looking at it from exactly the opposite point of view, because they don't understand. They really just don't understand that life abounds. There are much more advanced civilizations on this very planet than us. On the planet, in the earth, under the oceans, you know, and even in other areas on the surface that we're not able to go to at this point in time.
So we are definitely surrounded by all kinds of different beings, but we are isolated as a species right now to grow and to develop. And when it comes to you know, being in this world and being a light worker and a starseed, it's really important that we keep ourselves in alignment, because what happens is, it seems like the darkness comes in and they will take advantage of any trauma that they possibly can and send you off in a particular direction, which is not very nice. That's why you need people around you that can gently kind of bumper you into the right direction if that's what you want to do. But they will come along if we have a weakness, if you have a tear in your aura, and they, you know, they'll use that and they'll create problems in your life if you allow it. So it's like we have to be kind of rigid in our walk. And if we're not, they'll figure it out and they'll send you down the path they want you on. So we need to make sure we're being authentic to ourselves and not falling into those traps and those issues in our lives that send us in the wrong direction. We have a lot of trauma to heal, and that can be very, very difficult. And I love what Ham said. She said she's out camping, listening to this, surrounded by nature, and I mean, would make this talk more powerful. And she says she appreciates this group of light. And yeah, it is. It's us coming together and helping each other through it.
Absolutely. You know, they make it as tough as possible, as we said, to root and ground, to secure yourself and to grow. That's why, you know, you're doing a great job right now, because again, you could see the attacks are coming, you know, fast and furious, hot and heavy, as, you know, again, obviously the economic instability and the geopolitical It just occupies the mainstream narrative, and people are trained to automatically go for the fear and go for the negative. It's been trained into us. It's been indoctrinated into us. And if you want to try to reach people, you have to kind of at least bait them in with what they, inherently have been trained to look for, to reach new people, to then, let them know what's really going on and how they can help themselves. Again, doing things like Jen's doing, going out and camping, get out in nature, have that regular spiritual practice, prioritize that. Before we do videos, we always sit down and we do meditation and mantras. And, it varies how long, but I would say a half hour to an hour every day before we really get started. Because we want to be in the right frame of mind, and we don't want to be putting out things that are going to be harmful to people. We really want to help you guys in this process. And again, so many people are awakening. You're doing a great job awakening because the system is panicking and throwing more and more at us. That shows how much they're panicking. It's inevitable that humanity will break free, or at least a portion of humanity will break free. Will we be able to reach a good chunk of those that have only known Earth and the Kali Yuga from past lives? It could be, and it's highly probable that many of them will just simply go on to many, many more 3D lives. But look at the bigger scheme of things. It's spreading the love, it's spreading the light, it's giving people the support that they can utilize. But again, you can lead a horse to water, but you can't make them drink. So the thing to do then is you don't allow them to pull you down. So this is part of where we're going to come to, where there's going to be this splitting of the ways in so many ways. We talked about Krzysztof's vision, the Polish psychic from yesterday, and he was saying he kept getting threes, like there's three powers out there, three powers controlling the earth, but there's no geopolitical situation. There's no more nations. There's no more presidents, prime ministers. There's no more UN. There's no more EU. That's all gone because it's served its purpose for the control system, and it's been dissolved. Mm-hmm. And at the same time, there's massive, smart cities that appear to be empty. What's going on there? Mm-hmm. So, again, a lot of clues have been given to us about the rapture and ascension, and really about ET intervention. Again, the wars of the gods were very, very real. The Titans, against the Olympian gods, and then you had the Asuras and the Devas, and you had the Asir against the Vanir in the Nordic tradition. Well, the Bronze Age, it is the time of that type of warfare. Yet again, it's not straight to the Golden Age per se, and yet I think there are those that can ascend into more of a 5D reality. It just is up to the individual. It really truly is up to what your soul wants, and the higher self. When we're talking about the soul, again, coming into alignment with the higher self, what is the ultimate plan for you? Each one of us has a unique path in mind. Mm-hmm.
And Xenomorphet, she says, I love seeing the sun back there, and we have a couple different altars set up. We have one in the bedroom, and we have one out here. And, this is where we go to say extra special prayer if someone needs some extra help, if we need extra help. We have items and things that are sacred. I have some of my tools back there that I use, and they are extremely special to me. I mean, Mike is so lucky because he works in and of himself, but I kind of require tools, but I swear they're magical. They do things and they're amazing, and they came from a very sacred place, and I just love them. So when I am doing shamanic work on people, Mike and I, we both work together, and he's just his own powerhouse, which is amazing. And then I do my shamanic work, and I use tools, and I was gifted a very special type of feather I feel came from his father to bless our union. So I get to use my eagle feather when I work on people too. And yeah, there's some very special things back there that are very blessed, and I'm so grateful to have them and to be able to utilize them to help people move into alignment. So I guess we could talk about alignment for a minute. Alignment is something that is not for the faint of heart. It's not an easy thing to do. When you're ready to move into alignment, you know, you don't see a healer so that they actually heal you. You see a healer to give you the light and the courage and the understanding and how to heal yourself. It's like you have to take the steps. We can do things like take away pain. We can start the healing process. We give you extra light that goes into your body, that goes to work, but then it's like we hand you a ball, and then you have to take the ball and continue walking forward, and it can be a very complicated experience. And I wish that the person that woke me up originally, I wish they would have taken a moment with me to explain to me. It's like, look, you've made a very powerful connection with your guides, your angels, and your higher self. So things are going to be different. You are going to heal. You asked to heal, so now you're going to heal. But you don't always know exactly what that's going to look like. So it is important, if you're going to do healing work, to understand the complexities that go with it, because it's not like going to a doctor and saying, okay, here's your your special pill. It's not like that at all. No, you're going to get to the root cause of things, and you're going to heal. And it helps so much to at least work with someone who understands the energy mechanisms and who understands how the energy body works, and how and where the traumas are stored. So different traumas are stored in different areas of the body that we can work on. If I see extra blockages in someone's throat chakra, I'm lucky enough I can work on it myself. I can remove them myself, but then I also have my very powerful partner here. I can say, hey, can you do a little extra work on that throat chakra? And even though it's distant, it is so effective. Oh my gosh, it's amazing. I've seen this man do miracles. He did it on myself with the tumors I had in my ear. I was looking at yet another surgery, and mind you, these surgeries are very painful. They required them to go in and deal with my skull, and I have some major stuff, and I had this tumor, and I didn't want to do the surgery again, and I asked Mike if he could remove it, and in my case, he was able to do it, and we have doctor records to back that up. Twice he did it. So miracles can happen. We do need to be in karmic alignment, and we do need to be ready to heal. But once those things are there, yeah, miracles can happen. We're in the Bronze Age now. I mean, we've seen amazing stuff. We had a friend who had fallen and broke her hip, and she went to the doctor, and they took x-rays, and he's like, we're going to have to do surgery. Well, Mike and I worked on her, and guess what? She went back to see the surgeon the next week, and they took x-rays, and they're like, we don't have to do surgery. So she was karmically in alignment to heal, and that was a huge blessing. I mean, we cannot do everything for people, but we can definitely give them understanding and a fair shot.
So. Yeah, a lot of times illnesses, they develop because we're outside of our path that the higher self wants us to take. So, that a lot of times it's a wake-up call, and it'll just keep getting louder.
Louder. It will not stop
louder
calling.
And louder and louder. And I heard the guides as clear as day with me. And, I was going through a lot of health crises in my 30s. And, I kind of felt like I got a clear message that if you stay on this path, you won't see 50. And, my path was pretty healthy, but the reality was I wasn't doing what I was supposed to do. I wasn't living the original intent of the higher self. I was tucked away in a normal, typical life, and that was killing my soul. Even though, it wasn't torturous, it wasn't brutal, it wasn't war and all that, but it wasn't the life's purpose. So the soul was withering. And I had to make a change, and it was a hard change, but I left everything, and I've been a gypsy for almost 20 years. after that, after being so rooted in one spot but not able to grow, because I wasn't on the path. And then when I did get on the path, miraculously things just disappeared. Things that were plaguing me for a long time, and it's not like it was cake and easy. No, it's been really tough. I mean, I've literally left very, very secure jobs, and I had 401k, I had all sorts of things, I had all the things you would want, and I left everything in a junker car and $300, and that was it. Because I had to. I just knew that was not my path, and yet it's taken a long time to get to the point where picked up and came together with Cindy. And Cindy is somebody that, I mean, we've worked together in many past lives. So she's my lifesaver. She's my life support, and we can work together to pull each other up. Not every relationship's like that. So the reality is, even good people, that can even be two Starseed Lightworkers, you may not, mesh. And we do see many people that are Starseed Lightworkers with people that are not, in which case it's an imbalanced relationship that can pull the Lightworker down. And again, if you don't end up on the path that the higher self wants, this is really when a lot of people exit prematurely, because there is a point to the incarnation. And that point could be many different things, countless different things, but there is a main point. And then there's other things that the higher self wants you to work on too. But there usually is one main thing that you're trying to achieve. And if we go off in a tangent, and the ego and the little self loses us, and we're not finding our way, then a lot of things can happen, and it could be accidents, it could be anything. But again, if everything is going against you constantly, it may be that you're not on the higher self's path, what the higher self wants for you. We put a lot of focus into making sure that we're on the higher path, and that is one of our priorities. That's why, again, I do cards every day. I look I do a reading for us, and I try to find what are they telling me to focus on today. And when I say they are, spiritual guidance team or spirit guides. And again, people that don't understand will say, oh, well, spirit guides, that's woo-woo, that's new age. Well, that's any age but the dark age. This is the big thing. The control system wants you to only trust the control system. That Gil Bates guy, the sickle maker, Sleepy Joe, all these, Klaus and Co. These are the same people that gave you the fundamentalist mindset in the religions, and it's the same people that have given us our political systems, and also the banking system, the red shields. It's all the same clique. It's one dark club. Yes, that black eye club that spreads, all over the place and in every aspect of society, because they want us to want to emulate them. They want us to be, desiring to be rich and famous and, a celebrity, a star. Well, you're a star already. That's your true nature. When we look up at the stars, we're looking up at our higher selves in more ways than one.
We are. And Jessica says that she started to come into alignment and reach her guides, and the person who was around me at the time, they were not very supportive. And, she says they thought I was a demon. And yeah, that can be very hurtful, because I've been accused of that too. I mentioned something about, a shaman, and somebody says, oh my gosh, that's demonic, that's evil. Those are all the horrible things, that's sorcery. And I just replied back and I said, I really don't see myself as evil. I think I'm a very kind person, and I do my best to be in harmony with any given situation that I have. but no, evil, no, so yeah, you're gonna get that. You're sometimes, in life we think we want something, but the universe is trying to show us that you think you want this, but no, this is not your authentic path. And sometimes that's really hard to face, because you think you want something at the time, but that's what life experience gets you. It's like you think you want this, so you go for that, and you realize, oh, that didn't work. Well, maybe I don't want that. And it can go on and on and on. And that's why it's important to have someone that you trust. They have your back so that they can help you, and they can point things out in a different perspective that maybe you didn't recognize or see. But at least they have your best interest at heart, and they don't think that you're evil. I mean, no one is going to be perfect. We're not called to be perfect. We come from perfect love, but we're here to experience all kinds of different emotions. And that's, it's bittersweet. It's hard on us to have all these emotions and have them be very, very strong. And then if you go through trauma, plus you have these strong emotions, that can create more trauma. So sometimes we need a lot of help, coming out of a trauma. And sometimes it takes years and years and years. But it's still a blessing to be here, and it's a blessing to shine your light, and it's a blessing to be you and find out who you are. Not everyone gets that chance. Not everyone gets the chance to discover who they are, and not everyone gets the chance to fully heal. But maybe that's their contract. That's kind of their thing. That's their path, and we can't always worry about someone else's path. We have to worry about ours. And then the people on the sidelines that are cheering us on, as long as they are bringing happiness and wholeness to our life, that's great. But when they start to act as an anchor and pull us down, and every day is a trauma just to get through, and every day there's something, if they're not just productive conversations, then that's something that needs to be looked at. It's like, why is that in your life? What energy are you putting off that keeps calling that in? And sometimes we're called to pull away and figure that out for ourselves. And sometimes we're given someone to come into our life and show us and help us pull out of that and change our frequency. So, there's a lot of different tools and a lot of different ways we can guide ourselves up and out of the trauma. We do have to be open, and we have to be willing to look at certain things. With our situation, I mean, I generally, if somebody's having a really hard time, I can go and look at the transits, and the transits can show a lot, people's planets and where they're going and what they're doing, because that sometimes that's helpful. It can give you a target. It can say, oh, okay, well, I am feeling that. That is the problem. But how long am I going to be feeling this? And sometimes just knowing that it can get better, it will get better. And it always does. But sometimes if you have a little bit of a timeline, that can really, really help. So.
Absolutely. So somebody was mentioning, again, Etna erupting. Etna erupts all the time, basically. So we don't have to really worry about that too much. Paley's prophecy was about Etna and also Pele in Martinique erupting at the same time. So if Pele starts going in Martinique, okay, because I do expect, but then I really thought we would have had already the big quakes. So I think it's, again, our consciousness is holding off until more people are awake and ready and prepared before certain big events happen. I really think they would have already started the war. But I think, again, it's our consciousness that can create problems for the dark timelines as we start to awaken and realize, wait a minute, we don't have to go through a whole book of Revelations. No, not really. Again, it's seeding into our consciousness all the disasters that they want. They want us to, again, think that just by being born, there's something wrong with you. There's nothing wrong with you. You're a soul having a temporary journey, an eternal being having an experience as a human in one of the most roller coaster, toughest rides you could possibly get on. You're very courageous to even be here at this point in time.
Mm-hmm. Wow, we have somebody from Czechoslovakia.
Cool.
Amazing. And hi, Trina. It's great to see you. Thomas, we've been working with Thomas for a while. Happy to do it. Barbara. Yeah, I mean, you guys all have a lot of positivity to add in the room, and that's helpful, you know.
Yeah, and Trina Phoenix, there's another light, and she does connect with Wayne too. Every Thursday, we're pretty much for the foreseeable future going to be on with Wayne on our Wayne Steiger channel, and Trina is too. I think on Tuesdays. I forget which day. So again, there's so many of us Starseed Lightworkers out here that are just trying to do our best to help as many as possible.
Oh, absolutely. We are doing our best. And, that's not to say we are perfect in any way, shape, or form. We have our issues. We absolutely have our issues. But that's why we also have our grounding. And sometimes it's your partner that brings you grounding. And sometimes it's your practice that brings you grounding. But we should all have a couple modalities for when things get wonky to find our grounding and find our center and find peace. We all deserve that. Maybe it's a friend, maybe it's something. I know I went through a time in my life where I had a friend that was very, very grounding, and it's like whenever I had a problem, I could go to her and she would pull me and she would ground me. And then I lost that friend, and Mike came along and he's replaced that, and it's a blessing. We don't always have that thing that grounds us, but sometimes, we get lucky and we have a special friend in our life. And I had a friend, and now I have a partner that keeps me grounded. So, but we have to find it regardless. There's something that can pull you back and bring you back to reality. Being a starseed, let's face it, our energies can be all over the place because of the sensitivity and because of trauma. They can just really do this, and if you don't have something to stop that fishtail, it can be problematic. So very important to start that practice, find that thing, figure that out, and then we move forward. So if we make a mistake, deal with it, move forward, and and repeat. And that's kind of the way it is. So we all go through things.
Yeah, absolutely. And it took me over 50 years to find this person that every day I love more. I honestly do love and like more every single day. And I have a gypsy heart because I was just I was going crazy, staying put for 40 something years, and barely traveling, outside of my little route to work
town.
and route back, that type of thing. It was just so stifling. And now, oh man, it's like I feel the road calling me. So, I married a gypsy to match my gypsy heart. And, again, she is my eyes. And I'll be her back, her muscles, whatever she needs. And that's the way we have to look at things and find your support group out there, because we all could use support in these times.
All of us, all of us. It's not easy being a starseed, so it's giving yourself that grace and compassion to make mistakes and then figure things out and do better. And if you see yourself kind of going down a path that didn't work last time, well, stop and say, hey, I sometimes the pain that you encounter going through something is the pain of breaking a certain pattern. You're just about to break this pattern and find yourself more in alignment than when you were before. And that can be so extremely rewarding, even though it might be extremely painful in the time. And I tell you, we both have been going through traumas, and things have been bubbling up. And luckily, we kind of have each other to bounce stuff off of. One accepting heart to another accepting heart. It's like, yeah, I know this is screwed up, but I have to work through it. I need help, and you're the only one that I can come to. I am not finding help external this. And sometimes if somebody's in your life and it is help external, that's great. But your partner, the one who is committed to love you for the rest of your life, that's the soft spot to land. That's the place to go to feel safe and feel comfort. And like I said, we all go through traumas, and it's a blessing when you can find someone, even a friend, that can talk you through it.
Yeah, and so, when I look out into the chat, we've worked with so many of you guys on one-to-one calls, throughout the years. It's such a blessing. We've literally gotten to work with hundreds, if not thousands, of people. I would venture to say we're in the thousands. So that is a huge blessing from all over the world. Anna's filling out paperwork and says she sees the guru in me today. Well, thank you, Anna. And I'm not sure what paperwork you're filling out, but I'm sure it's very substantive. Again, listen to that inner voice. Is this something I really want to do? Is this something I really feel like I should do? That's so key. Again, take the time to sit and resonate with major decisions. Really important. And always moving forward. We can never go backwards. That's another thing to realize. You're always moving forward. Always moving forward. Things are always evolving. They never stay the same. We are, again, consciousness that is eternal, but it's changing. It's growing. It's learning. Every new experience is just a new opportunity for learning. And Cindy and I we're fasting today. We did it last week too. So regular fasting is really a good practice if you're able to. I know everybody is in a different place with your physical needs and situation. If you're eating very clean and taking care of your body, then absolutely fasting is just, it's kind of a no-brainer. Whether it's intermittent or juice fasting or water fasting, you have to really listen to the guidance within, but also do your research and balance that right brain, left brain.
Oh gosh, yeah, because Mike and I, we're both fasting, but I have to do a little bit different. My metabolism is so extremely fast that I do have to have a little something, probably 2 to 3 times a day, like a little handful of pumpkin seeds just to keep me from falling over. And Mike is good. He'll get all of the benefits. I'm not going to get all of the benefits, but I do get a little more of a clear mind. I definitely get a boost in energy. My body feels better. I'm giving my organs enough of a break to let them do their thing and then take a rest. Mike is getting all the full effects. So fasting is really fun. You can find these like charts online that show you and explain to you what 6 hours, 8 hours, 10 hours, what are you getting after 10 hours, and they're kind of encouraging, I think.
Oh yeah, very much. Again, 16 is where you start to really get into some serious benefits.
And where are you at now? Sorry to interrupt.
Right now, about 20 hours, 21 hours in. Last week we did like about 50. So it depends, and you have to weigh it for yourself, and you will definitely decrease inflammation throughout the whole body. So, after a fast, generally way less achy, way more energy, way more clarity, especially because of how toxic everything is. Because, as we know, there's a lot of additives that don't have to be there, but they're there, and they're there to keep us foggy-minded, keep us tired. And, again, when you purge and detox, you have to also try to help that process along, like taking activated charcoal is a good thing. You want to clean, the body as best and allow the toxins to go out. Plenty of clear, pure water is a must.
Yeah, definitely a couple people in there, KK, and knowing KK needs to work on getting nutrition in and water. So sometimes you're not in a good place to fast, and you need to find that out for you. And for a long time, I couldn't fast. I think I went about 3 years, maybe 4, where I couldn't fast because I was losing weight at a very rapid rate, and it was really scary. It was like the hardest thing I've ever gone through. So when you're fasting, you're putting the body under a bit of stress and pressure, and if you're already under stress and pressure, it might not be good for you. So everybody has their own individual thing that they need to do, and I would suggest first thing, if you're even interested in fasting, if any of this is hitting you, learn about it first. Dr. Mindy Pels, she's great. She can teach you all the things. And who were you watching last night?
Thomas DeLauer.
Thomas DeLauer.
Yeah, I've watched him for like 15, 20 years. He's a pretty good resource too. There's a comment out there by Anshuk Mavili that's talking about, I should be happy I just got engaged, now all of a sudden we're fighting. I would strongly recommend comparing your charts.
Oh yeah.
I cannot
compatibility.
Understate that. And yeah, so much is written in the stars, and if the compatibility aspect is not high, it could be it could be really tough. So the very first thing when I first met Cindy, a friend of mine, did our compatibility. She wanted to know all the info, and she looked and she said, "Okay, you guys are golden. You're going to be inseparable," and she was right. So compatibility, that's huge.
Well, yeah, I mean, there's a lot of times in relationships, you might have that spark of creativity and that energy of, I have to be with that person. But sometimes looking back, was that always the best relationship for you? Sometimes it takes somebody that you might not have a spark with to build something with. And it's just interesting how the chart shows that. It's like, okay, you might not be good in this area, but maybe you're good in all these other planets. So there are exceptions to the rules. The only thing that, could be a problem, really, I look for something, it's called Raju. And that's when two people, when they come together, they start to spiral each other down. And there's just no stopping that spiral unless each couple says, okay, I'm deciding to separate you and we'll meet again here in 3 days. So sometimes that might work, but it's not going to stop the Raju. You're going to continue to spiral each other down, and it's not always Raju. There's some other aspects in a chart too that you might be spiraling each other down. And there's no fault of anyone's. It's not your fault. It's not their fault. It's just your two different frequencies, and it's just not coming together. And maybe you can be friends down the road, if you care about each other and love each other. That should definitely be an option. A lot of couples, I've heard people say, arranged marriages are so horrible. But at the same time, I mean, wouldn't you want your chart done with that person if you are going to spend the rest of your life with them? That should be really important so that you know what you have going on. So that's what they meant by arranged marriages. It's like they have these two people with very powerful, prominent planets coming together. And what is that going to make? It's going to make a power couple. So they're able to manifest a great deal. And in this life, we've been dealt some pretty heavy blows when it comes to being able for the masculine and feminine being able to come together and create because of the trauma that they've inserted in our society. So we have that to deal with too, but we really cannot do a whole lot. So your partner, if your partner has trauma, if you're willing to help them with that trauma, that's great. If you're willing and you're able. Sometimes there's so much trauma and maybe the other partner just cannot help you with that. So that's not good. I mean, we are all very, very different.
Absolutely. Well, guys, I think that's a good place to end for today. We want to thank you guys again for showing up and support. And Cindy's got her dingings. She's going to do a little tuning.
Think a happy thought. Happy thoughts, guys. Drink lots of water the rest of the day. Thanks for coming and supporting everyone.
Absolutely, and we'll do our best to see you tomorrow at the same time and try to make this a regular habit. And again, we give thanks for you guys because we love you guys, and we couldn't do it without you.
Much thanks. Namaste.
Namaste.